ahead and get started on today's training. My name is Beau Cavalier. I'll be conducting the training on portable fire extinguisher inspection, testing, and maintenance. We'll be getting involved in the overall inspection, testing, and maintenance of a portable fire extinguisher. The standard we're going to be covering today is OSHA 29 CFR 1910.157 Section E. So Section E is a subpart of the 157. That is all portable fire extinguishers, everything about portable fire extinguishers. The subpart we're going to cover today is going to be just on the inspection, testing, and maintenance of that portable fire extinguisher. So I just kind of want to get that out there to distinguish the difference between 157 and the subpart. And as you see right here, it's a picture of a portable fire extinguisher. Very similar to what I have here. The only difference is I'd used this in a training, previous training that I had conducted, and this one does not have the hose connected to it. So as you will learn later, this one would actually fail inspection, I guess. You would want to document that it does not have the hose connected to it, as it does in this picture right here. So go ahead, we'll get started with some introductions, and we'll do a facility orientation. So class introduction, as I said, I'm Beau Cavalier and I'll be conducting the training today. My years of experience, I have about 15 years of experience in oil and gas industry. Started out in construction, moved over to the operations, plant operators for about 9 years, and then I just recently moved into my new role as a field safety specialist. So really enjoying the training aspect, the working with people every day, and you know, getting to really make a difference in involved in a lot of safety policies, procedures, and training. I really love my job. What do you hope to gain from this training? I know myself, with every training, I hope to gain the same thing, and that's knowledge. Knowledge that I can pass on, knowledge that I can gain to make this course better. I think at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal, right? To get better every day, to become a better person. That way you can pass that on, you know. The day you really think about it, you stop and think about it. The day you stop learning, or you have that mentality that, look, there's nothing else for me to learn, the day you become stagnant. And that's not something I aim to do ever as a person. So that's a little bit about me. We'll go ahead, we'll do class introductions around the group. I'll cover the emergency evacuations on each side, the evacuation routes, the assembly areas, where we're going to meet if we have an emergency. And I'll also like to tell you guys and gals, we have a bathroom right out behind right here. If you need to use the bathroom, go ahead, go to the bathroom, come back as soon as you're done. Same thing with cell phones. Go ahead, put them on silent, please. But if you need to take a call, step outside the class. You can take a call and just come back in when you finish your call. All injuries and illnesses, please report them immediately. That way we can go ahead and get you the proper care you need if you are injured or ill during the course of this training. And just like with any training, I like to start my training sessions off, get the brain going, get the motor running. Start off with a safety moment. So safety moment I chose to talk about today is see it, own it. Safety is not only about taking precautions, it's also about taking responsibility. There's a catchphrase that's being heard more and more these days, see it, own it. That phrase is particularly applicable to safety. If you see an unsafe situation or even a potentially unsafe situation, don't just walk away. Take responsibility for getting it corrected. Whether it's in the office, while you're traveling, or at the work site. Wherever you see something that you believe is unsafe or could lead to an adverse incident, speak up. If it's unsafe to actually do something about it yourself, keep others out of that unsafe zone and contact your supervisor. Think how you feel if you did nothing, then and heard later that someone was injured. So it's a pretty simple safety moment. If you see something that isn't right, don't be afraid to question, or just to ask, hey, doesn't seem right to me. Is it? You never know when you save someone's life or prevent an accident from happening. So just look out for one another, and if you see something, say something. These are learning objectives in today's course. Starting with the first one, we're going to learn the purpose for inspections. Well, we know it's a regulation. It's regulated by OSHA 1910.157 Section E, like we talked about at the beginning of the training. Are extinguishers in the correct place? So they're on the job site. Are they where they're supposed to be? Did somebody move them? Were they strategically placed in that area? So we're going to look at all those things. Are we using the correct type of extinguisher? Inspections, how often? And what are we looking for during the inspection? So when we're doing the inspection, what's going to happen is later on in the course, I'm going to take this extinguisher and I'm going to show you all the steps that when I look at a monthly inspection, kind of the steps I go through. And it'll be an instructor-led kind of hands-on training. What do we do if a fire extinguisher fails inspection? We're going to go through the protocol. What do we do once it fails, if it fails? So like this one right here without the hose. What do I do to that device after I deem it as non-passing? We'll go through that. How often should we retrain on this standard? So you're receiving this training here today. When do you need to train again? We'll go through some criteria for that. Okay, so what can fire extinguishers do for me? This is a little video I found on YouTube. I love looking up videos on YouTube. I love engaging with everyone in the class and showing a few videos here and there. And I think it's a very eye-opening experience, man. You see this small fire extinguisher, not very big at all. And you're thinking, man, small extinguisher, what can it do? Well, so you see this fire is producing a lot of heat. Guy's fully bunkered up, so he doesn't get any external burns. It's definitely putting off some major heat. Flame probably, I don't know, every bit of 6, 7, maybe even 8 foot high. That fire really rolling. And you can see in his right hand, he has an extinguisher no bigger than this one. No bigger than this one. Now today's class isn't going to be on the methods and how to use this extinguisher. That would be a separate training. Today's class is just going to be on the inspection of that fire detector. That fire extinguisher. So, you see, he put it out super quick. And it just went like that. So, these small fire extinguishers, they do pack a punch. So, don't, if someone ever questions you about, hey, it's just a small little, they may call it a kitchen fire extinguisher or just a small little handheld fire extinguisher. You can share your experience, share the video that you just seen with them and say, look, they pack a punch if used properly. General information and regulations. So we'll go through the explanation of the standard of the actual OSHA CFR 1910-157 Section E. I have a handout, an Appendix A. It's a breakdown of some definitions that you're going to see. You may see definitions or wordage in this standard itself, and you may see some of these words in the PowerPoint. I just want you to be familiar with them as you see them. So we'll go through an Appendix A after this slide and kind of talk about a few things. So this is the actual standard now. 1910-157 Section E is the inspection, maintenance, and testing of portable fire extinguishers. Part 1 of that standard states that the employee shall be responsible for the inspection, maintenance, and testing of all portable fire extinguishers in the workplace. Part 2. Portable extinguishers or hose used in lieu thereof under paragraph D, number 3 of this section shall be visually inspected monthly. So a lot of times these OSHA regulations and these standards, you really gotta dig through them and do some research to kind of understand what they're saying. This part right here it's not on this slide, it was in the standard itself. This was saying that all your standpipe or your fire water header system needed to be inspected monthly. So that's if you were in a facility, or even if you were, I guess, in a building, the sprinkler system and stuff of that nature, that still would fall under this standard and it would need to be inspected monthly. But it is separate, I guess, or in lieu of the portable fire extinguisher. So the employer shall assure that portable fire extinguishers are subjected to an annual maintenance check. Stored pressure extinguishers do not require an internal examination. The employer shall record the annual maintenance date and retain this record for 1 year after the last entry or the life of the shell, whichever is less. The record shall be available to the assistant secretary upon request. So, apart from our monthly inspections that we are required to do, there is an annual inspection, an annual maintenance inspection. So it's more than that monthly visual inspection. It's a detailed maintenance inspection that's done annually. A lot of places that come out and they do these annual maintenance inspections. They have a registration certificate, they have a license, and they come out and they may pull them off site if they replace the fire extinguishers. If some of them need to be replaced or need to be maintenance, they're going to put replacements in their place. So they come out once a year and they do all of that, and that's what these tags are. You'll see these tags on a lot of fire extinguishers. This is an inspection tag for that annual inspection. And I know one thing that they're checking for in particular, the manufacturer's recommendations and the instructions right here. They're making sure nothing's covering that section, making sure it's not damaged or anything like that. If anything's damaged on this instructions section or this front tag, this manufacturer tag, it'll fail inspection. Their annual inspection. Okay, so the last part says the employer shall assure that stored pressure and dry chemical extinguishers that require a 12-year hydrostatic test are emptied and subjected to applicable maintenance procedures every 6 years. Dry chemical extinguishers having non-refillable disposable containers are exempt from the requirement. When recharging or hydrostatic testing is performed, the 6-year requirement begins from that date. So every 6 years, they'll do they subject it to some annual maintenance procedures. So they'll go inside there, and then from that date, that's when it starts that 6-year, I guess, timer. So when they do their annual maintenance, they keep, I know from the contractors who deal with our annual maintenance inspection and annual maintenance program, they keep the paperwork for this part also. So they have it documented, like which ones are due for a hydrostatic test, and they'll have a date, and they know what date they got to do that hydrostatic test and or that 6-year maintenance. So the last part is the employer shall assure that alternate equivalent protection is provided when portable fire extinguishers are removed from service for maintenance or recharging. So we talked about this. I kind of mentioned it just a second ago. When this extinguisher is in a set place, when they're doing their annual maintenance, or even if you do your visual inspection, if you pull it off and you fail it, you say something's not right, I need to get something fixed, you can't just leave it as is and take it out. You need to provide a replacement. Okay, so this is Appendix A. These are some definitions. Definitions. Agent. The contents of a fire extinguisher that causes extinguishment upon application to the fire. Normal agent types include water, water-based foam, ordinary dry chem, purple K, and inert gas, carbon dioxide. So ABC exchanger, the agents is obviously what's inside the cylinder. You can have several types of agents, and it's all going to depend. Your agent sometimes is can vary, and it's going to depend on the application for what type of fire. You know, is it an ABC fire, which this one right here is an ABC extinguisher, right? It's good for we'll get to this next section, fire classes. It's good for wood, paper, trash. This one's good also for Class B fires, which is liquids. Class C, which is electrical equipment. Class D fires are, as you can see right here, it's combustible metals. Class K is cooking oils and fats. So the reason the fire classification is important is knowing that you have the right extinguisher available for the right service. So you wouldn't want a pure Class A fire, which would be for your wood, paper, and stuff. A Class A extinguisher, and it may be a water-based. You wouldn't want it by electrical equipment, right? So just know your equipment, and just keep that in the back of your head. So portable fire extinguisher is a unit designed for fire extinguishment that contains a fire extinguishing agent. It's expelled by pressure, and that it is capable of being carried by hand. They also have wheeled fire extinguishers, which are a form of portable. You can wheel them. Fire extinguisher that is heavy enough to require a wheel carriage. So it'd be basically a big, if you can imagine a big old cylinder, kind of similar to this, and it's set up on a wheel cart. So those are out there also. So at this point, we're going to do the instructor-led inspection steps. It's a monthly visual inspection, right? We're going to, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to check the placement of the extinguisher. We talked about that, making sure that that extinguisher is in the correct place. Next thing, I'm going to inspect for damage. I'm looking anywhere all over here. I'm looking for damaged handles. I'm looking for damaged cylinders. I'm just giving it a good overall look underneath, by the gauge area, inspecting it all. Look for any tampering. Look for anything that may have been done, anything that's broke, whether it be accidental or, you know, whether somebody would have purposely tampered with it. Just inspect for that. Always make sure actuation hasn't occurred. So you got your gauge, you want to look at your gauge. They have a green section. That's where you want your needle to be, in the green. You don't want it to be over pressured, you don't want it to be under pressure, but you want to make sure it's obviously in the green and it hadn't been discharged, hadn't been actuated. The seal should be in place. This tamper seal right here, you want to make sure this tamper seal is still in place, okay? Check the body for corrosion, especially the bottom. Very important in a cartridge type. Now I have a picture of a cartridge type in the next slide. So this bottom right here, it sits, especially if it sits outside, I just want to give you all guys a little point to keep in mind. So when you're doing inspections, when you look under that thing to check the bottom, especially on a bigger extinguisher, be mindful of the surroundings. So you want to look for corrosion, but if you have to take it off to look to get a good inspection, watch for insects and wasps and stuff like that underneath there, especially here in South Louisiana where we commonly have problems with wasp nests and stuff like that. You don't want to just go up to it and grab it and pull it off, because it is a pretty big lip on bigger extinguishers, so they can create a little nest down there. Check the hose for dry rot. So this one doesn't have a hose, right? But the hose would be connected to here and it would be ran down the side. It'd be mounted, you know, with a little mount. You want to check all the connections where it connects to the actual nozzle, and you'd want to check the hose. Make sure the hose isn't dry rot. Where it bends, sometimes you see some cracking start to occur in that little bend. And check the nozzle. Make sure the nozzle is unplugged. So that hose comes down, and sometimes they have another little nozzle on the end of the hose. You want to make sure no mud divers or anything can get in that nozzle and plug it up. Stored pressure type. You also want to check the pressure gauge. We talked about that. So this is a cartridge type. They're going to speak on this a little bit, see how much bigger this one is, that base, or you're going to be inspecting that bottom really good. You want to make sure this cap right here, you want to make sure it's on correctly and not cross-threaded. And that's what they're going to speak about here next. So the cartridge type, make sure that cap is tight and not cross-threaded. Instant pressure, when you hit this down, you engage that cartridge, okay? So when you do that, you put that thing, you now pressurize this cylinder. This is cross-threaded. There have been instances and incidents where that cap has expelled off and it's, injured somebody or killed people. Because when they engage that extinguisher like this, they had their self in the line of fire, and when they engaged it, that cap popped off. So we always want to open it away and engage it away from us. That's what this next slide is going to say. Always tilt away from self or others when pressurizing. So you want to date and initial the inspection tag. So on here, not by the manufacturer's instruction, they'll have a separate tag that's your monthly inspection tag. You want to date and initial that if it passes. If there's any need to have an extinguisher replaced or repaired, remember, a replacement is mandatory for the one taken out of service. So at this point, going to do a class review. Any questions on the training, on the hands-on part, or the PowerPoint? We're going to go through them, and we'll have a little test to go through. Some ending notes or some just general statements I want to make. Only trained personnel shall be authorized to use a fire extinguisher. Training on this inspection doesn't constitute training on use of a fire extinguisher. So I highly recommend you get trained on the actual use methods and how to use a fire extinguisher on top of this inspection training. Retraining should be conducted any time an employee has questions on how to properly perform inspections, or if employers notice continued deficiency in inspections. There may be other examples in which retraining is necessary, like changes to the standard or changes in a company procedure or policy on portable fire extinguisher inspections. So if this standard would happen to change, if they would have to change something up, add something, maybe take something out, we don't want to retrain. So in your individual company policies, if they go above and beyond this standard, you want to be knowledgeable in those, right? So if those change and it affects how you're doing your inspections, we want to retrain. At this point, we'll do an open discussion, and we'll just talk about the course and see what things we can take from it. What did you learn? Give me some examples of things that you learned in the class, things that you maybe didn't know, or things that you knew and it refreshed your memory on. We'll take the test. It'll be a short test, and then we'll do a class review of the test. We'll go through the answers and make sure everyone's up to par on that. And then the final class, open discussion, course evaluation. So I really want, like I spoke about earlier, it's really about getting feedback from the students, from my instructors, and to make myself a better trainer. That's ultimately my goal, is to make people safe and give the best quality training experience that I can. So these course evaluations, these critique forms, you don't have to leave your name. You can tell me whatever it is that I need to improve on, and I promise you I'll take it and implement it moving forward. Thank you, and today's training has now ended.